Right, so building a rule for a line, practice test 01, and we're moving on to question 2, where we are asked what is the y-intercept of a line that has a slope of -3/2 and passes through the point -18, 20. So this is an extension of what we did in number 1. If you recall, in number 1 we found the slope of a line that passed through 2 points, and I told you at that point that it would be quite easy to go ahead and find the b. Well, that is in fact what we're being asked to do in this instance. In this instance, we're being asked to identify the y-intercept, which we've placed in bold, and which you know is represented by the letter b. And this time, we're kind of nice to you in the sense that we didn't force you to use the big fancy formula in order to calculate the slope. We just gave you the slope. We gave it to you right here, and we said that the slope when the fraction reduces is equal to -3/2. Now, that fraction bothers some of you, I know, and some of you like to convert that to a decimal, and so we'll go ahead and do that right now, and we'll take note of the fact that the a in this instance will be equal to, get your calculator out over here, and we will go -3 divided by 2, which comes to 1.5. I think I missed the negative there. Let me just do that again. -3 divided by 2. There it is. -1.5. So the a we already know. And of course, if we had 2 points, we could have calculated using the a formula, but as I said, a little bit easier. So we know the a, and we're being asked for the b. And so if we take a second and we think about the formula that we know we're going to be using, eventually y is equal to ax plus b, you can see really quickly that we're being asked to identify this b, and we know the value of the a. Now, the only way in algebra we can ever solve for one variable is if we have values for the other variables. There's no way to solve for b if we don't have a y, an a, and an x. Now, we know the a, and so the question becomes, well, where are we going to get this x and this y from? You know, where in the problem are they going to give us the extra information? And of course, that has to do with why they've named one of the points that's in that line. That line contains an x and a y, right here and right here. So the x is equal to -18 in this instance, and the y is, of course, a 20. So because of that, we have an a, we have an x, which is equal to -18, and we have a y, which is equal to 20. We're able to take those numbers and input them into that equation. And because we'll have values for the first 3, it'll be really easy, doing some very basic math afterwards, to go ahead and identify that b. So I'm going to do the substitution right now. And remember, when you're doing the substitution, please make sure that you actually do the substitution. Don't leave the letter in there. Okay? When that letter gets substituted out, it gets replaced by the number. So the next line would equal 20, where the y used to be. Don't write 20y. Okay? It's 20. The y is a 20, and so the 20 goes there. Directly underneath the letter a in the formula, we will put the value of a that we calculated, which is -1.5. And we know the x is -18. And that leaves us with the plus b. I'm going to apologize in advance for my left-handedness. It's awkward enough at the chalkboard, I know, but a close-up of my left mitt here is blocking out most of the answers until I'm able to move it. So bear with me until I learn how to write right-handed, which will be, I don't know, for never. The 20 then is equal to -1.5 times -18 plus b. And of course, we want to solve for b. We want to isolate that b. But we can't do that until we deal with the rest of the numbers. Now, right over here, we have a very nice simple multiplication to do. And so we can simplify that number. We'll drop the 20 down underneath. We know that that 20 is still there. And now over on my calculator, I'm going to go -1.5 times -18. And when I do that, I get a positive 27. So that -1.5 times -18 is actually a 27 once those two numbers have been multiplied together. And then, of course, I still have from the formula the plus b. And so the next line reads 20 is equal to 27 plus b. Now, I have really no interest in knowing what 27 plus b is. I really just want to know what the b is. And that 27 is being added to the b, and of course it is a positive 27. We don't write it, but we know that to be the case. And so we have to go to our order of operations backwards since we're solving SAM-DEB. We're going to be getting rid of this addition, and we're going to get rid of an addition by dealing with the opposite operation, which is a subtraction. And so I'll show that, negative 27. And the whole point of doing that negative 27 is to get rid of this, right? 27 minus 27 will be 0, which will just leave me with the b on the right-hand side of the equation, which is what I want. But of course, you have to remember that equations are like scales. And so if I subtract the 27 from the right-hand side of the equal sign, I have to do the same thing on the left-hand side if I'm going to maintain the balance of the equation. And so a minus 27 has to come up over here as well. And now, all I have to do is that final subtraction over here and say 20 minus 27 and discover that my b is actually equal to negative 7. So just to review it, we convert the fractions to decimals if we don't like the fractions. We identify the variables x and y. We identify the b from the words y-intercept. We take note of the variables that we're aware of, a, x, and y. We use the formula that we know we're going to be using again and again and again, y is equal to ax plus b, and we substitute the values in that we know in order to identify the unknown, which in this case is b. And then you're ready to answer the question. Good job.